long as I'm going to keep the hair. Now there's a reason I kept it unclipped, so that way I could control it as I was going through the top part. So now I'm just going to clip that out of the way. Now the way I'm going to be fading this haircut is I'm going to fade down. So I started with my longest guard, and I'm going to work down towards my shortest guard. Again, I'm working with the Ulster guards at this time. They're detachable heads. So that way I went from my 1A, now I'm working down to my 1. I'm just going to bring this right up, close to where that 1A was, but not exactly to it. I'm using just your basic parietal ridge as my line for where I'm going to cut. I'm just taking his a little higher. I'm going to go up my 0A. And again, blend that into the last guard that I used. I'm stretching the skin too, just to keep control, so you get just a little bit of a tighter cut. I'm very delicate when I use these guards for the fact that they are metal. Some people go in a little too aggressive. You can nick the client, catch their head, and try not to do that. And right about here, right around the occipital is where you want to be most careful, because it does protrude out and everybody's head's different. So you want to make sure you take into account where the occipital kind of contorts back into the nape of the neck, so that way you don't jam them in the base of the skull. And again, I'm not going into the hair. I'm going into the head and I'm just coming straight out. Try to keep nice, clean elevation the whole way down. This haircut's going to be very high. Most of the fade is going to be done from about here down. It's going to be very tight with skin. And from here up is where you're going to see that weight of hair, that line that we're trying to keep there. And while you're using these tools, you want to make sure you keep them dusted off, because hair does build up on them. So I like to keep just a simple nail brush on my station, not to be used on the client. I see that with a lot of people. I try to just use this on my tools, keep them dusted off. Between every guard, I try to also always spray my cool care on it. This is a great tool to have. And again, taking my 3-0 now, I'm going to continue to bring this up high on his head. And from here on out, I'm going to try to just use the guard where I want it. I don't want to drill his head over and over with these metal guards, because they do tend to get warm as well. I'm coming up for a reason that the head's round. So as I'm coming up, that head's going to arc in, and as long as the blade's not following it, it's going to already kind of elevate that hair and cut it at the length you want it. One of my favorite guards, we have the 4-0. Going to get very tight. You got to be careful with this too, because if you look, it's almost like a razor blade. So you have to be very careful with when you're going on the client's head. You don't go too rough, too aggressive with it. This is where you can really start to damage people. Again, just bringing it up close to where I left off. The reason I left the line there is so I know I use my 3-0 here. My 4-0 is only coming up a slight bit, because from here down is only going to be skin. So it would make no sense to take all that hair off. And also, when you're just starting to learn these cuts, it's nice to keep that there, so that way you don't have to guess where you left off with your 3-0. Now I'm going to take the 5-0, and this could be the lowest guard I use before I bring it to skin. Since I left all that weight there and I could keep track of where I was blending everything, it made that skin line, very seamless, so you don't have any weight there. My balder now. This is the Wall 4000. It's a tool I've come to love. Just gonna go over all that skin area. I went from the 2 blades where I cleaned up all the weight, and I'm just going to take the 1 blade, just kind of flick it out if I see any kind of weight line there. The 1 blade will get you, it doesn't take it as short as the 2 blade does, it kind of flicks out any line that's there. It doesn't cut as much. Now that 5-0, I love it so much because it gets so close that if you look, there's no line where the boulder met to it. At this point in the cut, I've got a lot of my foundation laid out. Now it's just the cleaning up part. Different parts of his head I hit with the same blade, but sometimes you have growth patterns. You have hair that's maybe a little more coarse. It might grow in this way and the other side grows in the other direction. You just want to make sure that you run through that and get any of those lines. This is that finishing techniques. On a woman's haircut or a longer haircut, you would do this after you blow dry it. You would go in, you'd point cut, you would do your texturizing. This is kind of like the texturizing on this kind of haircut. This is the finishing up of it. Now I'm going to go grab for my Andes Masters. And this is just to tighten the haircut up. With this you have a lot more control with the arm here to get a little closer, a little more precision with it. I always like to keep these by my station. So now I'm just going to jump in there. My 1 guard. And again, this is just to kind of get rid of this little line of demarcation I'm seeing right here that I couldn't get out with metal guards. So I'm going to start open. When the guard is open, this is pushed all the way away. That's the longer you're going to get that guard. When it's pushed all the way down, you get that true 1. So, from cutting Brian's hair and doing this haircut, I know I kind of want to start in the middle. So I'm going to keep my thumb there. That's just to make sure it doesn't move too much. I'm just going to go in. And you'll hear little by little hairs cutting off. The 1 was just barely taking a little bit off, so I'm going to reach for the 0. The 0, all these guards I'm using right now are just to get rid of this 1 line. I'm not touching this, I'm not worrying about that because that's skin. I'm just worrying about this line right here I see. My 0 open. I'm just flicking out. I'm going to close it now. So I didn't. Here, just a little bit coming off. I love the magnets on those. It makes life so much easier. And now I'm just going to go in my open guard. Again, this is the Andes Master Series, but it doesn't have the fade blade on it. It just has the basic cutting head to it. The fade blade is just a little bit of a closer guard you get cut with. This, I like working with this for just trying to blend the line out right there. And if you look at it now, we got a lot of the weight out. There's only a small amount of weight I have to get rid of right here. I'm going to open all the way and just flick. And I hear just those few hairs getting cut. Going, guys, just a quick recap of the haircut. I went through and took a lot of the bulk out and did all the hard work with my offsters here with the detachable guards. Then I went through the bottom and I used my Wall 4000 boulder. And then the last thing I did just to tighten everything up